From a federal prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from...
Write a Jacka's name up on this lead. Shoot for the stars, I say shoot for the head. Take a Gen 5, then the mag extend. Won't stop shooting till you draw your last breath. Couple hollows, but these threats ain't empty. I gotta end them before they can end me. I know they tryna get me with they envy. Many men hate me, but they respect me.
That's where the strength of being independent is, though. When you do everything yourself, it's like, I did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that's true.
The whole point.
All right. So we can get started here.
Sweet.
For people just discovering you, who is TIPCI 5150?
My name is Moses Ramos Espinoza. I'm a Denver native. I grew up here my entire life. I'm 18 years old. I'm an independent artist in the underground scene. Making music is my passion.
Right. Right on, man. So 18, huh?
Yes, sir.
Newly 18?
No, I've been 18 since November last year.
Oh, okay. Right on. Right on. So you're only 18. When did music first start? Something more than what you just listed?
Honestly, since I was able to hear, like just being able to interpret the sound and hear the music, it's just, I always listen to it on a deeper level than just for enjoyment, you know. I would always pick apart tracks, take them piece by piece, solo out melodies, the drums, hear the lyrics, dissect the lyrics. I always just dissected songs since I was young. So, I mean, it's always been a piece of me.
When would you say that you started doing that?
Around like 6 years old.
6 years old?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, you started young.
Yeah, man. I grew up on a lot of like constant music just in the house, and it was all different kinds. So like R&B, hip hop, you know, just Motown, Michael Jackson, you know, all that kind of stuff.
So lovely.
Yeah, bro.
I love it.
All kinds.
That's dope. When was the first time that you started rapping?
I didn't start rapping until around like 10.
Okay.
But I started writing when I was around 7.
Okay.
So
I picked up this skill at 6, started writing at 7, and rapping at 10.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I've seen a lot of like young rappers, man, but like someone as coherent and stylish as you are, I mean, that's not something you see often.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. So was there a specific moment that like inspired you to start rapping?
Honestly, it kind of just, it came to me since I was young. Like being in a household that I was in, I was never really heard.
Okay.
So my expression came from writing. And I wanted it to be, my thoughts mattered, you know, like my voice matters. So I had to take that power and turn my voice into something that people would listen to.
Yeah.
And music kind of just became the avenue. I would take my favorite beats from like artists that I listened to when I was younger, you know, like Tech Nine, artists in that kind of scene. And I would take their beats and rap over them and just kind of experiment that way. So I kind of just found a passion for it.
Yeah. Which one of those artists would you like? What are some other artists of that type that you would say inspired you?
Tech Nine was definitely like one of the first ones that I was just like strange music. Like I just loved it. I learned everything about it. So I went down with Tech. People like Hobson. You know, I found C-Mob when I was around like 3rd grade. That all I listened to was C-Mob.
Yeah. And he's become quite a friend of yours, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like more of like a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's a friend definitely, but yeah, he's been more than just like an artist I listen to. We've developed like a strong relationship.
That's dope. Mentorship is very important.
Very.
Not something I've participated much in, but I can see the difference between those who get it and those who don't get it.
Right.
You know. Well, I have other questions here, but I want to kind of learn more about your relationship with C-Mob. So how did that kind of like kick off from like just being someone who listened to him to somebody who's now in a mentorship?
So my mom, she was a promoter. So my dad, he was like really into listening to C-Mob, and that's how I discovered him through my dad. Any music that my dad listened to, like 3-6 Mafia, people like that, I learned a lot. I picked up from my dad. So C-Mob was someone that my dad ended up getting a hold of and was like, if you ever come out to Denver, like my wife, she's a promoter. She can get you out here. They work together. My mom and other people got him out to a show, picked him up from the airport, got to know him. And I was starstruck when I was younger. You see someone, you're just like, oh my gosh, I listen to everything by you, I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I was kind of like fangirling, but,
sorry, I do the same thing when I meet other figures.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, over time, I was like 10 years old and he beat my ass on Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were playing Mortal Kombat. He would me. Didn't matter, jet lag. You just sitting there and falling asleep. Just throw me, man.
Yeah, he's not even awake.
Yeah, I was just like, damn. But over time, just kind of reaching out, asking questions, and he would always respond with some kind of advice or wisdom. And eventually, when I was about 16, 17, my godmother reached out to him for my birthday and was like, can you do a feature with my godson for this song? And that's To the Hood.
Let me take you to the hood, let me take you to the streets, let me show you how to hustle, let me show you how to eat. Let me take you to the hood, let me take you to the streets, let me show you how to hustle, let me show you how to eat. Let me show you how to make a band off some pills and pounds, let me show you how to eat off a kill with some rounds. Let me take you to the hood, let me show you what is good. We gon' take you to the killers, we gon' take you to the crooks.
Yeah.
And we got the business side done, and I got the verse back, and I couldn't control myself. I just heard it right away. But we brought him out to Denver a lot, and anytime we'll hang out, we kicked it. We went to Chiba Hut the last time he came here, like 3 or 4 times.
Good choice.
Yeah, dude, Chiba Hut, it was really good.
Yeah.
But he's definitely grown to be like a very close friend of mine and a mentor.
That's awesome, man. Where did the name TIPCI 5150 come from, and what does it mean to you?
So this is kind of funny because, it was my cousin's quinceañera.
Mm-hmm.
And, quinceañeras go.
Mm-hmm.
We're walking around, everybody's looking at me. And they're like, what's up, TIPCI? They're calling me TIPCI. I was like, it kind of stuck. But I didn't like how TIPCI was spelled, so I changed it. And I turned it into something for, ever since I was young, my father, he had things like not clinically insane, key insane, things tied to insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And 5150 became something I put in all my names, whenever gamer tags and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started rapping, I was like, I need a name. But I was 14, 15, and everybody was calling me TIPCI. I was like, I like that. It kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And I changed the name to be an acronym, which stands for Temporary Involuntary Psychiatric Commitment of Individuals.
Oh, shit.
Which is the clinically insane hold on someone for a 5150. So it kind of all just ties in together.
Yeah, that's dope. It kind of rhymes too,
Does it?
Yeah. TIPCI 5150.
Oh, yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's funny, man. And then that's kind of like your Instagram handle too, or at least partially, clinically insane and all that.
Yes, sir. Most of it is I try to tie it together at least a little bit. Ever since that first thing happened on my Instagram, I can't change it back to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I always try to have it tied to me somewhere.
So what does the word insanity mean to you?
That's a good question. Insanity. I think it's just life in general. So you see so much, it drives you insane if you don't have that outlet.
Yeah.
And music kind of became that for me. You sit there, you hold all this in. You don't have an outlet. You don't have a way to have a creative output.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go crazy. I've gone crazy. If I don't write, I lose my mind.
Yeah.
So it's I go insane if I don't write the music. And it's not coming out of me.
Yeah.
I'm not creating something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more, I'm insane if I don't have it. And then when I am doing it, that
seems pretty meaningful. I can definitely relate. If I wasn't a creative person, I'd be a very destructive person.
For sure.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself as both an artist and a person?
Immediately respect comes to my mind. Like I always try to be respectful to everyone I meet because you never know what anyone's going through. I always try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like one, being respectful, it costs nothing, you know? So as a person, as a character, respect has always been huge for me. Disciplined. I'm disciplined. I've been building discipline since this year. I have a lot of integrity. I try to operate with the most integrity possible. You know, I always try to do the right thing regardless anyone's watching or not.
Yeah.
I would say creative. Like on the artistic side, I would say my creativity is definitely very abstract and different. I think differently than other people. So I'd say creative. I'm very open-minded. Like I'm willing to hear other people's outputs and collaborate, you know, like those are how I would describe myself.
That's dope, man. I think that's a good way to be. Like when it comes to respect too, something that I've noticed, that's something that applies in any space that you go to, where it's like circle, square, legal, illegal, you know.
Right.
If you're not showing up with respect, then you're going to create way more problems than you need.
Right.
Yeah. And I appreciate the thoughtfulness of it too. It's like, what are other people going through? So like, I don't need to make it more difficult than it needs to be.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if someone spent a full day with you outside the studio, what would they learn about you that your music doesn't immediately reveal?
Wow. That is a very good question.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I don't know. I probably just take him to a gym.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, we're going to get some pre-workout. Gotta go. We're going to get close to death. We ain't pushing self-failure. We're going to get close to the casket. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a very intense person in like a lot of aspects. Like if I do something, it's because I'm passionate about it. So, you know, I always try to give my all. So I think people would pick that up on me. Like I always try to do my best that I possibly can.
Didn't you just reach a personal best at the gym?
I did, brother.
Yeah, you want to share that?
Oh, man. I mean, I benched 290.
Damn.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get to 315 by July, by the end of July.
I think you might get there, man.
I hope so.
That's a lot of weight.
It is. The only thing holding me back right now is my tendons. These parts right here, my triceps. So I'm taking it light. Take this week off. So when I come back tomorrow, I'll be pushing, you know. So
when I was a young man, I cannot do anything close to that today. But when I would say about your age, like around 19 and stuff, I was doing those like 120 dumbbells, and then got up to 1,000 pounds on hip sled. Yeah.
That's what's up.
I remember my second engineer coming up to me on my first deployment. What the fuck? I didn't know you could do that.
Right.
I did 10 sets of 10 every day.
10 sets of 10, that's good.
Yeah. But I don't know, man, it just fell off, you know? Having other people around that are disciplined like that is a huge benefit, you know, because otherwise you come up with that by yourself.
Yeah. It's always good to have someone that pushes you, you know? Like for me, I wish I had people who would train with me because I go solo every day, 5 days out the week, I'm by myself. So the only person who's there to push me is myself. And then there's some days where I'm just like, I don't want to go.
You ain't got it.
Yeah. And then either I cut the weight, high volume, you know, or I still just try to stick through the workout. And I find I always leave the gym better than how I came in.
Oh, yeah, always.
Yes, sir.
For me, the hardest part is getting my ass in there.
Once you're in there, bro, you're in there, you know?
It's like, all right, we're here to just make the best of it. But it's like, getting myself to it. Like, I can always come up with an excuse if I want to, you know? And so, like, when I was in the military, everyone was, let's go, right? But since I've been out of the military, a lot of people, they don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
And I get mad at them, too. Like, I'm at Warframe. If I don't go, start working out, I'm going to die. I hit him up like, hey, let's go. And he's like, nah, I'm going to stay home. Like, all right, man, you're going to die. I don't know.
Yeah.
You ain't got it in you, I guess. Yeah. But no, I think that's good. I would recommend that you keep that.
Definitely. That's another thing that keeps me sane, you know, like it gives me that peace of mind when the night shuts off. whenever I'm in the gym.
You know, I hear that for a lot of people too. You know, it's what do they say? The most effective antidepressant outside of antidepressants.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How would you describe your sound to someone who's never heard your music before?
Raw.
Well,
I always try to not filter my craft. Like whatever comes out, I kind of just, I'll let it come out. Because I feel like there's some kind of divine connection that it's letting me say this, or like it's coming out. And that might be something where it's like, okay, I'll rework this. But I always try to let like raw emotions, raw feelings, because I feel like that's what captures humanity. If you constantly have like something that's filtered, it's clean, it's, polished, you don't want to look at something that's dirty. But when you have that grit, you have that real, that's what gives it that understanding. And I want people to relate. So people aren't going to relate to a perfectly clean image. People are going to relate to someone who's like, I've been stained, like I have flaws. Yeah. And I want that to be displayed in my craft. So raw, I always try to have like intellect in it. I always try to have something that's like, you got to look back and listen a couple times and be like, oh, so that's what he means. That's what he said. Like I always have like double entendres and stuff like that. I speak in a lot of metaphor. Poetry has always been something that is very like precious to me. So I speak in a lot of symbolism too. So to cover that whole sound, I would say just like raw intellect with street realism, and you blend it together, and then you just get someone who's very passionate and someone who's been hurt and wants to change it and have alchemy and build something better for themselves.
That's deep, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, it's definitely got that alchemical process to it, of like turning pain into something beautiful.
Yes, sir. Pain into purpose.
Yeah. I would also say Chicano.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. With that, like hip hop, Chicano, I always try to have like that West Coast sound to it. My roots with it being connected. I wasn't even thinking about it.
I was like, what is he going to say to Chicano?
Right. Yeah.
Man, but it might have a distinct sound that I feel like you deliver on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Chicano sound, it comes from my family. I always try to keep my roots in my music, like I think that's what music is. It's your people. It's your culture, So definitely the Chicano sound in it, like in Dickies and Loach and songs like that. Yeah. I always try to have something in there that captures that.
What would you say being Chicano means to you?
Strength. So immediately you're representing your bloodline. This is, you look at the history and you see all these people who fought for freedom. You see all these people who fought for their identity. And when you go against oppression like that, it says more. There's a deeper message than just, oh, I'm wearing some sunglasses and some Dickies, like it's more than that to me. This is my heritage. This is where I come from. This is my people. And I learned that from my grandfather. He showed me the life. I'm just so grateful for it, because everywhere I go, like I remember speaking to someone and he was like, you rep that hard. And I'm like, I have no other way to be. Like, this is my life. It's way deeper than just an outfit. Yeah.
Let's talk about your grandfather a little bit. So would you give us the rundown on his name and his influence on it?
His influence. My grandfather is and was my best friend. I still grieve the loss of him, because I wish he could see the man I became today.
Right.
And I know he's watching from above, but to see the man I am now, oh man, if my grandpa was here, me and him, like, can I cuss?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bro, we be tearing shit up. My grandpa, oh my goodness, my grandpa was a trick, bro.
Yeah.
And he just free spirited. Like my grandpa went through so much in his life, but he always found a way to make people laugh. He always found a way to take a dark situation and make it light.
Yeah.
And I always carried that with me, because it's like, he went through so much. My grandpa was incarcerated. He lost his brother. He lost so many people. He faced a lot of heartache in his life, but I've never seen him not making someone else laugh, and that it gives me the comfort of knowing, like, hey, when my grandpa was getting treated for what was going on with him, he's sitting there on his deathbed. He's still talking to the nurses, making him laugh. Like, to be at your darkest moment.
Yeah.
To know you're not going to be here tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still making people laugh. You're still cracking jokes. Like, that is something that shows. It keeps me okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, to see that characteristic and be like, you know what? I can still be happy despite the sorrow. So that's definitely an influence that I got from him.
Yeah.
The style, I just like my grandpa, bro. Like, when I say we're twins, bro, we're twins. You would think I was his son. And like, everything I do is just like my grandpa. I look just like him. And that's like one of my biggest pride and joys, because it's like, even though I lost you, you're still here. Yeah. Because I see you every day in the mirror. And, you know, he was definitely my best friend. And I wish I spent more time with him at the end of the day. And just showed me the importance of spending time with people that you love, I would say. I would definitely agree with that. I do think it's like a Mexican attitude too, to make light of death. I remember when my abuela passed away, I asked my dad, like, how did it happen? And he was like, oh, well, like this. Oh. I'm like, really, dude? It was funny though. You know? I think that's a big way of how we cope. Yeah. Like, when you're able to laugh at it, because if you just sit there and you just have this constant sadness, it's like, you're not doing anything with it. But if you're being able to laugh at it, you can still experience like being a human. You don't let that pain harden you. You know, you still have that ability to laugh. You don't let it take it away from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I would say that kind of lends itself to that alchemy that you described too. Yes, sir. Would you say his name? Alan. Alan? His name was Alan. Yeah. Alan Ramos. But we all call him Chato. Chato. Yes, sir. You got him right here. Always with me. I got him too. On my ring. Oh, wow. Yes, sir. And this is his cross. Hey, he looks pretty family in that photo. Oh, hell yeah, bro. The cool thing about that ring too is his ashes on it. No way. Yes, sir. There's a little screw on the bottom. Oh, wow. So I carry him with me wherever I go. Can I show it to the camera? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how well you guys can see that. That is dope, man. Thank you, bro. Yeah. Yeah, I always have him with me. Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you've been through quite a bit yourself, not just your grandpa, but yourself as well. What do you think the emotions, stories, or experiences that you find yourself writing about? Like, what is that detailing? When it comes down to it, I write my experiences, and I write so that people who have been in those same circumstances, they know they're not alone. Because that's what music did for me. I grew up listening to a lot of music that I could connect to and I could relate to. And it made me feel not alone. It was constantly just like this comforting, like, I'll be okay kind of thing. Like, you see these people, like my inspirations and people that I looked up to, and I see them and I'm like, if you were able to get through your darkness, that gives me the ability to have that in my mind. I'll be able to get through it too. And I want to do that for other people. So my experiences, things that I have heard, I feel like to share those. So there's actually this quote. It's like, I think it was, shared laughter is twice the joy. And shared sorrow is half the pain, or something like that. So it's like, if I can comfort someone else, if I could let them know that they'll be okay. Like, this is where I came from. This is what I've been through. This is the man I became. I didn't let the pain transform me. Yeah. There's still hope for you too. So I kind of just want to be a beacon of hope for other people when I write. And I always have that intention in the back of my mind. That's what's up, man. Yeah, I would say, you know, when I was going through my traumas as a younger person, I also found a lot of comfort in music. So I'm glad that this is like a constantly replenishing cycle, you know? Every day. Yeah, it's kind of cool how it works, really. Would you say how much of like, because it seems like it's a very authentic storytelling for you. So how much of it is like imagination, lived experience versus storytelling? It's like just one big blend of it all. Yeah. Like there's certain abstract things, or I'll take inspiration from other pieces that I've read. You know, I'll blend it with mine. So that's where the imagination comes in. With lived experience, I talk about where my mind was at, what I was thinking, what I was going through. I try to paint. It's almost like painting a picture with sound and just trying to display this kind of thing. Like I have storytelling tracks. I have tracks where it's just like almost like a prophetic tone of like, I'm not done, you know, like especially on my album, there's a song called Songs in a Cell Block. I think that's the best piece I wrote.
Yeah.
Ever. Like I hear it. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna top this, you know, but that inspires
myself.
Right. Yeah. You know, it inspires me because it's like, if this can come out of me, think about everything at this age, think about in the next 5 years, next 10 years, what I'll be creating.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you really realistically, I'm only 3-4 years into the game. I'm barely starting to put stuff out. I'm just starting out.
Yeah.
So if I'm writing stuff and it's not just impressing me of like, oh, it's because it's me. I'm writing it because it's just like, wow. So that storytelling blend. I need to write more storytelling tracks because I feel like I talk a lot of more like state of mind tracks, I would call them. You know, I have like revolutionary tracks. I have different tracks for different moods. I want to start making stuff that people can like get groovy to because I listen to our music. I'm like, I want to make a song like Stevie B or something. You know? Like I want to make tracks like that. Yeah, a lot of it comes from lived experience, I would say.
Yeah. I last summer I did Motown. I wrote some Motown songs.
Nice.
I didn't release them, but just like the change of pace.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff was revolutionary.
Right.
And you know, sometimes I'm in love too, you know?
Right, yeah. Hey, you gotta have that thug love in there, bro.
It was just like, I just wanted this, I don't know, it was like a total vibe that came through me. And it hasn't really returned, but it was just like under a spell for that time period. I think you can relate to that though, because you talk a lot about like prophecy, you know, like a prophetic kind of thing. And it definitely seems like that's where you're at, where you're like, I have a message that's not only important for me to express, but other people would benefit from hearing it.
Exactly.
Well. And I don't think a lot of people put that kind of like consideration. Rap game. I think most people are just like, me milk this bitch for everything I can get.
Yeah.
But you know, I particularly make grateful for artists like with that mindset, like you.
Right on.
You know.
And that's the beautiful thing, like how you said, like as it came back, you were able to capture that sound. You're able to capture that point in time where you were at. Because when I look at music, I treat it like a time capsule. It's like, I wrote this when I was 14. I felt these intense emotions. And there's so much, I got relief from it. You know, when you let it out, because if you just sit there and let it out, I did that for so long. But when you just let these emotions flow out, and they create so many different avenues. Like I want to be an artist where I'm not just limited to hip hop. You know, I want to create like those love songs. I want to create like metal. I want to create all these different kind of genres and mix it together because it shows where my mind's at. And it also shows like, I know if I'm feeling this, there's definitely someone else who feels the same.
Oh, yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me of what you're saying there of like Booyah Tribe. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a bunch of like Samoan Bloods. I don't know exactly where they're from, but I know they're in Cali. So, at least they were. And they did like security for Eminem and all that stuff.
It does kind of sound familiar.
But yeah, they made you should check it out when you get the chance. They made like metal hip hop blend.
That's what's up.
There was another Body Murder. This is one of the tracks that they dropped.
Okay.
And they did that like 80s and 90s. So,
man.
Yeah, so they're kind of like early adopters, I would say.
That's what's up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fusions I think you could make. I haven't heard too many like rap Motown fusions, so that would be kind of
that would be cool. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was like, yeah, man, that'd be kind of sick.
Actually, you know what? Okay, you know Spring Love by Stevie B? You never heard that song?
No.
Spring Love, come back to me.
No, but now I want to.
Okay, yeah, it's a good song. I'll send it to you.
All right.
But I rapped over that beat, and it kind of reminded me what it is. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna try something with that.
I heard a really dope one underground. I think it's called The Masters.
The Master.
And it's Ain't No Sunshine.
Ain't No Sunshine.
Yeah.
I think I've heard it.
Yeah. It's amazing because it starts off with just like the intro and like building up the tension. Cuts in with like a whole verse.
Ain't no sunshine when she. Ever since you left, my day seemed less amazing. Had your body in my vision, now I'm stargazing. Wondering how could you ever love another when I was smothering your body deep under the cover in pale moonlight.
That's what's up.
Just like immaculate flow. I don't know. I'd love to see where you go from here. You're already pretty dope. And then what you could be in the next 5 years. I think it's cool.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So when you're creating a song, what usually comes first for you? The beats, the lyrics, melody, or just a feeling?
I notice now, back then it used to be just lyrics. And it still is. But now if I have some kind of emotion or some kind of thing that like is boiling inside my mind, I'll sit there and focus in that energy and try to see what I can get out of it. It's kind of like set a tone. Most of these documents that I have now that I've been writing haven't been like lines that I've heard or punchlines or lyrics. It's been descriptions of how I want the song to sound, what I'm talking about, giving it the spine. When I first started writing, what came first was always lyrics, where I'd hear like a drum and I'm like, okay. And I'd catch like a certain flow. And it comes randomly. I like the most random times. I'll be sitting there walking, I'll be doing the bench and I'm sitting there and then I start hearing this. I'm like, okay, I got to write it down.
Yeah.
It just comes.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about, cause I notice I get in these writer blocks, but I'll get these glimpses and it's like a small little light and it goes back. But it's like, if I capture it, I'll eventually build it back,
Yeah.
So for the most part, when it comes to the songwriting process, it's lyrics.
Yeah.
And then I'll try to find a beat or make one myself, match the lyrics,
Yeah, for me, it's a combination of that as well. Where like, I'll be like walking in the door and I'll see something and it'll make me think of something. I'm like, oh, let me write that down.
Bro, I have so many voice recordings.
Yeah.
I think I'm bad because I'll just walk around in public talking to my phone. I'm just talking to myself and I'm like saying these things and people are just like, okay.
This guy.
Yeah.
He's just making money over there.
But it works, bro. Like if I can't write it down fast enough because the thoughts fading, I get the voice note and I get it out. I have like 100 voice notes just sitting in my phone.
Yeah. And then I'll go to my office and like go through my voice notes.
Yeah.
And then type up everything that I said.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Like, dang, man, it's pretty amazing how it works. Just like capturing that in the moment, right? Like, there's been days where I've written entire songs in snippets just throughout the day, pausing for those moments.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
That happens to me too. Like, there will be some times where I work on a song for a week or like 3 days, just sitting there, just constantly just obsessing over it. And then there'll be other times where I write a whole complete track in 15 minutes. And it's just so different. Like, I wrote this one because I had a lot of emotion pent up and I couldn't get anything out. And then I woke up one morning, I was fresh, and then I just started hearing all this. And I'm like, okay, boom, I wrote a whole 16 in a hook. It's just like, how did that happen? Like, I want to stay like that constantly.
Yeah.
You can't dictate the creative process. I think it just comes to you.
I mean, something that I've learned, you got your mind wrapped around something. It is occupied, and you can let that go and let inspiration flow.
Right.
Or you could hold on to it. Like, I need to work this out. Then you might be getting in your own way.
Yeah, dude, I try to get out of my own way all the time.
Yeah, getting on that. Another rapper that I work with, Mystic.
Oh, Mystic? I think, Mystic sounds familiar though.
Yeah, he did one, like, just let the light through, it was stuff like standing in your own way, which I thought was pretty inspiring. Walk me through your creative process from the first idea to a finished track.
I'll say it for To the Hood, how that song came about.
Okay.
I was freestyling in my basement, just sitting on the floor, letting my phone charge. And this was still when I was living in my phone. I'm just sitting in the basement, I'm freestyling, quiet. I found a beat and it was like this lighthearted track. It was like it was something completely different from what I normally try to make. So I just threw it on whatever and I started rhyming, and then it got to a point where I was like, let me take you to the hood. Let me take you to the streets. Let me show you how to hustle. Let me show you how to eat. As soon as I heard it, turn that beat off.
That's it.
Bro, I started writing and I was just like, that is $1 million hook. I stayed in my mind. I was like, I swear I can hear 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah.
As soon. And then I heard that and I was like, no, I need to find a beat. Scrolling. I swear, like maybe 5 minutes. I clicked one. Mafia. And I heard it and I was just like, this is the one. Soon I tried the hook to it because I tried different beats before that. I found like 3 different beats before that one. And I was sitting there and I was just trying it and I was like, it's not fitting. So I was like, okay. And then I found this other one. I wasn't going to give up on this. I was going to find that beat, bro.
we'll find this shoe that fits.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So I was just like, I would have stayed there. To this day, I would still be trying to find it. Yeah. But I found it. And then I was like, we have the hook, so I need the verses. And I left it after the hook. I let it sit because then I went and took a shower. And in the shower, I don't know what it is. I just start getting these ideas. They start coming.
Yeah.
And I'm getting my phone wet, typing everything that I was saying because I'm just like, it's coming to me now. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I got the first verse done within the first 2 days that I heard that. And then the second verse, it took me a minute. It took me a minute to get it out. And honestly, the person who helped me was my godmom. She's like, oh, wow, I can just hear you going. She gave me the flow, and I was like, flipping bricks and hitting licks, almost carrying it. And then I heard it, and I was just like, yes, like that's it. Yeah. And I stuck with it. And it depends on the mood of the track. It depends on what I'm trying to say, what I want to say, what the first vision is of it. But I find, like how you say, you get out the way of it, it'll just come. And I'm learning that because I notice if I sit there and I'm like, no, I want it to be like this, creativity is going to be like, okay, well, you don't want to hear what I got to say.
You don't want to work with me.
Yeah. So it's like, exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, are you going to like let me tip in or are you going to sit here and try to control everything? It's like, I'm learning now that process should be free. Yeah. Everything has to be structured and it has to be down to the point where it's like, okay, this is happening here. This is this. But with the creative process, I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, I would say it's the opposite of control. It's like surrender is letting go to wherever.
Sir, perfect.
Yeah, wherever the inspiration is directing you. Yes. Yeah. I would say, because you kind of touched on it earlier about connection to divinity or whatever. And I feel like pretty much every artist knows what you're talking about. And everyone who's not an artist not know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, because I remember it was Tupac. Something like, when my pen hits stage, I go blind and let the Lord do his thing. You know? Like,
that's hard.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But, you know, with my friend Mystic was saying let the light through, and just the stuff that I've seen is the more controlling that I am, or I'm like killing my own creativity. Yeah, and it's interesting, like the things that come to your mind when you let it happen.
Yeah, I've seen some things like on songs in the cell block. That's when I let it happen. I just let it come out, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I wrote that. It's like I was like, there's no way. Like, why wasn't I doing this before? Yeah. You know, and you kind of just get that feeling. But yeah, I always say like, God gave me the words. I just wrote it down, kind of thing. That's how I feel about it. I have that divine inspiration, that source. I believe it's God. Someone else might think it's something completely different. Right. But for me, it's definitely that divinity to the Lord.
Let's talk about writer's block, because you mentioned that before, right? Yeah. Now that's something that I have experienced as a younger artist, but as I've gotten older, it's become less and less common.
That's good.
But I know a lot of up and coming artists, they struggle with it a lot.
I struggle so much.
You want to like school us on like how that process usually goes for you with the writing block?
So it comes in like phases, bro. What happens, I'll be completely free from it for whether it's a month or a week, and I get everything I possibly can out of it. I milk it completely. Whatever idea it may be comes out. Okay, I'm good. But then it's like this dam comes and it blocks everything out. And I can't even write a line. I can't even begin to formulate what kind of word or what kind of idea I want to say. And it's so frustrating because it's just like, I want to create. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't I do this? And I find it's like, one time, I literally have a freestyle called Writer's Block. And that was me writing through the writer's block. And I eventually broke out of it. Yeah. And then the more you practice it, the more you do it, the less common it becomes. And I get in those moments where it still gets frustrating. And like, I still get mad. And like, as I mature with the penning, it gets less and less prominent, but I still get these moments where it's like, I got nothing. Yeah. like there's nothing here. Yeah. You know,
that's usually freestyling for me.
Yeah.
There was people like, go. I'm like,
yeah, I
was just working. Like,
yeah, dude, I need some.
Yeah, so that's definitely my weak point there. But if I have a pen and pad or even a computer, I got opportunity to start spitting. Right. You know, but I would say off the dome, I would definitely struggle the most with that. There's a song by Fat Lip from the Far Side. I don't know if you heard it. It's called Writer's Block. It's like writer's block, condition that's hardly rare, often compared to a tree that bears no fruit, bank account with no loot, inability to produce thought, ideas get stale, brain cells rot. And just like,
that's how it feels. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. He just like the whole song is like that. I don't know. I'm pretty inspiring. But for me, it was almost like a mathematical thing. I couldn't like give you the numbers on it. Just like all the stuff that we're around all the time. It's like a constant source of inspiration to me. And also frustration is a source of inspiration.
Yes.
So like, okay, what's pissing me off? All right. That's what I need to talk about.
Yeah. What's on my heart?
Yeah. Exactly.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. There was scenarios that like you hear about, especially you, like with things like your connections and all the things that you're experiencing. You hear some crazy stories. I'm sure, right?
Definitely.
Like, there was one line that I came up with. There's like mobster thoughts on every breath. And then I was like, what's the next line? I don't really know. And I'm like, I got a news snippet of monks on meth. You know, monks on meth.
That's what's up.
Thoughts on every breath. And just like, I just put it together.
Hell yeah.
I was like, dang, that's weird, but it's also a real thing that happened to Tyler. A bunch of monks got busted.
Yeah. I seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
making meth in Thailand.
Yeah, they're tripping.
Yeah. And it's just like there's all these things happening around us that we can draw from.
Yeah.
You know? Are you someone who follows songs quickly? Or do you constantly go back?
I have to go back and perfect.
Yeah.
I can't just like do the first draft and leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
If I do something, it has to be down to the point where I have it on lock. You know, I have it down and it's like, okay, now this is okay. Like because I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to art. Anything else, I go with the flow. You know, I just wing it, whatever. It is. When it comes to art, when it comes to my music, it's like, this is my craft. It has to be the best it possibly can. You know, like this is a representation.
Right.
So if I'm not putting my all in it, I can't put it out.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something one of my songs, Realish, I spent 3.5 months writing.
Damn.
And I started when I was on the bus on the way to school. And I was sitting there, I was just on the bus and I started just writing the first like 16 minutes. And then I went back, literally got it down to everything that I wanted to say. There's, you got to like cut certain points. You got to figure out how you're going to flow, how you're going to say these words. You know, I sit there, I'll just listen to the beat constantly and I'll sit there and just constantly do it. Cause I feel like if I don't, it's not going to be what it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely go back and I know I'm far from perfect, so I don't expect perfection, but I want to get as close as I possibly can to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I would say I relate to that for sure, especially when it comes to like drawing. Not necessarily perfect, but I want it to look exactly like this, and I will keep trying until it does.
When you have a vision, you got to stick to it. You know, like that's how I feel. Like if I see something, I'm not going to stop until I get how I want it to go. You know what I mean? Like I have this vision for a reason. I'm not going to accept anything less than that.
Right.
You know, I have very high standards for myself. So I think that's where that comes from. And, you know, like I said, it's a reflection of myself.
Yeah, I think it also plays in the other things you talked about, like discipline and integrity, I would say, because like attention to detail, even cleanliness, it's all the same, really, right?
Yes, sir.
What is an influence on your music that people would never expect?
Bro, you have so many good questions and influence on my music.
I'll give you an example. Like Madonna seems to be a big inspiration for the rapper Andre Nickatina. Yeah.
I would say like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Michael Jackson growing up. So like, you know, you hear the songs that I make, it's like here to the hood, y'all. Where the hell is the glove? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't move on to this.
But it's never the war sequence.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, Michael Jackson, like what inspires me with Michael Jackson is how he would just let it come to him. And like the music would take over.
Yeah.
And that's the surrendering to whatever divine source that is, that music, that creativity, what you're creating, you just let it come out. And Michael Jackson, he perfected that. And I remember I heard an interview from him, and he was talking about how he was sleeping it was like 3:00 in the morning. He called his engineer. He was like, we got to get in the studio right now. He's like, this can't wait till the morning. Michael Jackson's like, no, because if we do, Prince is going to have it.
Oh.
And it's like the way Michael Jackson thought of it was you get an idea. It's like a library. You're checking out books. You're looking at all these ideas. Pharrell said the same thing. and it's like you're looking at different ideas and you're checking things out.
Yeah.
But it's not truly yours until you take it and check it out of the library.
That's a deep way to look at it.
So it's bouncing from different people. So it's like it's an honor to kind of get that source and like feel worthy enough for it to come to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I relate to Michael Jackson because I've woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning, half asleep. Where's my phone? You know, I'm just writing whatever I can.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of it's gibberish, but I try to figure it out, you know?
The fuck?
Yeah. Who the hell got my phone? You know, kind of gremlin did this.
That's a trip, man, because I would say it's the same thing. Like, I'm not saying like it's not yours, because once you take ownership of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there does seem to be this reality of ideas looking for a home to be realized. You know? And it seems like they pick artists to do that, whichever artist has the most capability, opportunity, all that stuff.
Right.
It's interesting that he knew the other artists that was in line with it. It's going to Prince.
Yeah, he's next. Yeah, I was in line before him.
Yeah, nah, he's not getting this.
Yeah, no way. I think it was for Billie Jean.
Oh, really? That's funny. That's what I'm seeing at a karaoke yesterday.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I've been listening to Michael Jackson for like the last like month.
Yeah.
Not last month, like probably like the last 2 weeks. Just I don't know why. Just listening to him. But his voice was amazing. Like,
yeah, even as a kid, it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's just like, man, yeah.
Yeah.
So Michael Jackson is definitely big.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson. It was like, as a kid, I didn't really know much about him. Like, I never made the connection. Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson is the same person.
Me neither.
Like,
me neither.
Yeah. It was just like, because like all I grew up with was like basically them making fun of it. But when I actually like time to listen to him, probably like 13, 14 for the first time, and The Wiz, I think it was called, and he's killing it just in that small moment. And that was like right when he started to transition into a white woman, you know? It was like right before that moment. He played the Scarecrow in it. You know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's one of those older things. But I was like in drama class, and I was the girl I was talking to had a thing for him. I noticed that. All the girls like him, right? Same with Prince too. Very
Prince.
popular.
I never seen the appeal with Prince on it. Like I always liked Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's funny about Prince is he presents so feminine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have you ever heard an interview with Prince? He's got like a crazy deepest voice. He's like, yeah, it was something. It was like, this is the same guy singing in high pitch.
Michael Jackson was the same way.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jackson, he would talk in that high pitch. And then he was like, if I talk normally, I'm going to scare people. Like,
yeah. I heard he was a gangster too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from like everybody who hung out with him.
Yeah. Chris Tucker, he's funny as hell whenever he described Michael. Yeah, it was so funny. I always watch those videos. He's like the perfect comedian, and Michael Jackson, like you would never think those two would mix.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did was just so, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he actually like, there's a lot of like influence of Michael Jackson on Chris Tucker. You can see that like Friday and a lot of his other like acting. On
Rush Hour when he did the kick. He said Michael Jackson called him and said he kicked with the wrong leg. He called it wrong. Yeah.
Shoot. I'm a huge fan. That's dope though, man. So what would you say is the hardest part of making music?
It's production.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if I write something and I have this vision in my mind, I know how it wants to be. It's the production part that's just kind of like making it sound the way I heard it in my head. You know? That's the most difficult piece. But I'm going to SGC so I can learn that because I want to make this album head to toe of like how I envision it. And I want to be able to do that and just kind of have like that whole control of it. But being like, if there's anything that I don't like on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, the productions, because I used to mix in my basement and I taught myself how to like mix vocals and all that. And the most challenging thing for me is making beats.
Yeah, same.
It's the hardest thing, bro. It's just like, I can get the hi-hat, I can get the drum, I can get, the snare, whatever. I can get all that down.
Yeah.
I can get the rhythm. But when it comes to making melody, I'm done. I just can't.
Yeah. I mean, those were two different artists. I don't know how familiar you are with the whole history of it.
What is it?
2 different arts that developed. So like DJing started first for like parties and stuff and block parties and so on. And then the MC, the rapper, would just do like announcements and like as a host kind of first.
Right.
But over time started like spinning over the break beats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it turned into flows and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
And so the guy never made music. It was always someone else making music.
Yeah.
And he's just riding the beat, you know? I think that's like a big part that's kind of missing, but I totally understand the drive to take over that part because otherwise, like in my situation, I've got like 450 pages of lyrics and people have heard maybe like 5 or 10 of them.
Dog.
Yeah.
Wait, bro.
Yeah.
I have like, I make different Google accounts because it's just like, I write everything on my docs, on my documents, and like, I just scroll forever. It doesn't seem to stop.
Yeah.
And then I go to another account and there's just more. Like, I can't tell you the number because I don't know how to like track how many documents there are, but
yeah,
like my TIPCI email is tied to everything is music related. And then there's formats, there's like all these different ones, there's the projects that aren't even completed. And like there's stuff that won't see the light of day. And like that stuff, it's personal to me. And there's other stuff that I will put out. But there's just like this whole kingdom of music, and I only have like 12 songs that are out.
Right.
So it's just like, it's hard going down the line because these people, all they're hearing is music that I wrote when I was 15, 16.
Right.
And like, you're going to hear a lot of that because I wrote a lot because it helped me.
Yeah.
And like that whole album, it captures how my mind changed from ages 14 to 17. And like, you see the transformation, how it started out. And then towards the end, you hear this developing mind mature and the penmanship mature.
Yeah.
From 14 to 17. Or like, I think the last one I wrote, I was 18. But no, because I recorded it on my 8th birthday. So yeah, everything's 14 to 17. And you have those, that's like a compilation of like everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm already on like my 4th album, honestly, like writing it.
Mentally.
Yeah. But people haven't even heard the first.
Right.
So I definitely relate to that, bro. It's like, damn.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this process is like, honestly, and I would say in the creative fields in general, like a lot of times, they're promoting a film, actor or whatever. They're like, oh, I already filmed it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's dumb.
I'm just telling you about it now.
Right.
It's straight for me because like one of the first songs I had professionally recorded, I wrote in 2015. Yeah. Recorded it in 2020. Finally made a music video for it in 2023. Yeah. Like, something I'll tell you is there's a lot of people that'll waste your time, you know? And they'll be like, yeah, I can make a beat for you. And then they don't deliver. Or they deliver once or twice and then they're like, I want to be a part of it. So we will. I'll pay you. But like, you're not my go-to person yet. Yeah. It's a wild thing that I've learned, just the small bit that I've got a foothold in. I just hope it doesn't take as long for you as it's taking for me. Like the sooner you can cut through the bullshit, the easier it's going to be. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I hope the same thing, honestly, because I started writing in 2017, 18, like started writing songs to get out. And then in 2022, I actually started working on this album, Hood Poet. It's from 14 to 17, basically. Yeah, it's a very time consuming thing. That's the other constraint. It's the time. Yeah. It's all this stuff. Like I've had this album done since I was 17. Since 2024, it was already completed. I only added one more song to it. And I didn't get it recorded up until my birthday last year, which was 11/26. Yeah, finally, like, it's so crazy when I hear my voice I have now, and it's my mind from when I was 14. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm spitting these lyrics, and it's like, I could have rewrote this. I could have changed it. I could have made it sound way better. But I wanted to keep it as authentic to that state I was at. You know, like what's the point of trying to capture this? It's like a timeline with this music, and it's like, what's the point in trying to go back and change it if it's not going to capture my progression? Right. You know? Yeah, I think that's an important part of leaving the older stuff alone. I mean, I'll go and change stuff. I'll go back. I want to release this now, but I'll go through it. All right, this isn't actually 15 bars. It's more like 21. Yeah. All right, let me chop those, take this. I'll keep the old stuff. I'll release this 16 bars. Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. I think something that no one really talks about, you know, but I think it's a very real factor of it. It's like, I would describe it as like chomping at the bit, you know? He's just like, oh man, I'm like, I got all this stuff on the back burner in my mind. Yeah. Like, let's get to it already. What I've learned is that the more I set things up, to flow from like production start to finish, the easier the whole process goes.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest struggle when it comes to producing music?
I can tell you right now, the easiest thing is recording.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I already practiced this a million times before I came here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hardest part just comes down to like making it sound like me.
Yeah.
You know, and getting everything to 100%. Because, you know, like my beats, it's mainly just a mixtape right now. So my whole album is sitting in a drive.
Yeah.
It's all these different beats that I just pulled from YouTube, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's like either I got to pay so much to get beats made for just me so that it's not someone else's and I don't have to lease it, you know. That's the hardest part. But it's just like there's not anyone that's going to be able to make this sound the way I want it to. So it's like I need to do it myself.
Yeah.
But I'm not equipped with the skill to do that yet.
Yeah.
So it's just that's the hardest part, honestly, is just being able to produce it. I find.
Yeah, I would say when I did my AP 2020, I just accepted that the beat wasn't gonna sound like exactly what I wanted.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it sounds great to everyone else because that's what they heard initially. They didn't hear me when I was practicing it.
Yeah.
Like the vibe was a lot more cheerful than the heaviness that it was created with.
Right.
Which is nothing wrong with being cheerful. It just didn't feel genuine, you know? Especially with what I was spitting about. It was meant to be as heavy as the topic.
Right.
Talking more about production here. What makes a song feel finished for you?
When I can listen to it and go, okay, this is ready.
Yeah.
When I can hear a song, play it back a million times because I need to hear for any slight imperfection. Oh, I didn't say this word right. This ad-lib sounds off. You know, I always try to listen to it. But I would do that. I noticed even when I was younger and I would produce my own tracks. I would hear it and I'd listen in the car for an hour. Then I'd go in the house and throw on some cheap headphones for an hour. Like when you could listen to the song that you're working on any kind of medium, through a phone speaker, through some $2 speaker, through some $500 system, through a car system, you know, like when you can listen to it on different mediums and it sounds good on any of those, that's when I'll call a song finished.
Okay, that's a dope metric. Yeah, I like the car the most. But I can totally see it, you know, like, because if I play it on my phone, I'm like, no, there's actually a lot of bass right here.
Yeah.
You can't hear it because I don't have a fucking 12-inch.
Right, yeah.
I think that's important. I've also had some weird moments too, where like people are like, can I see your song? And I'm like, sure. And then the Bluetooth disconnects on my truck. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to play it off my phone.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's true. About the industry, what would you say is your favorite thing about the hip hop industry?
I love being able to hear like everybody's voice. I love seeing all these different artists, their different avenues, their creations and stuff, you know, and you know, you got people who have ghostwriters and stuff like that, but like the authentic voices, you hear all these different minds and it's like you're seeing the testimony of who they are. You're seeing their testimony. You're seeing their story. That's what I like because you can see what they went through, their progression and how music saved them. Because I feel like anyone who makes music, they need that kind of outlet. You know what I mean? They found it for a reason. And, you know, like I found mine for a reason. And that's where the whole sanity thing plays into because it's like, that's what kept me sane. So you see all these other artists and it's like, that kept them sane. What they're talking about, what they're saying, their lived experience. That's what I love about it. It's just a collection of different ones.
Yeah. I'll say that's my favorite thing about hip hop too.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's just like, it's such a funny thing. People are like, what's your favorite rap? And it's like, well, what am I in the mood for?
Yeah, exactly. I can't just have number one. Like, I like this artist when I feel like this.
Yeah.
I like this artist when I'm feeling like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it just depends on the day.
Yeah. I don't think it's like a vertical stack or something.
Nah, no.
I think it's like, I don't feel sushi. I don't feel Tupac today.
Yeah.
You know, I want chicken and waffles. Okay, let's listen to 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah,
you know, like,
right. Whatever it may be, like,
you
know, I've never been able to like rank like, what's your favorite song? It's like, are you serious? Dude, I gotta list it from the genre, the artist, and like the tempo. The melody, you know what I mean? Like I gotta rank them in so many different aspects. Like I can't just give you my number one favorite song.
Shit, that's the thing I appreciate. It's just like to me, there is no the best.
Right.
You know, it's just like, all right, what's best for this moment. Yeah, it's a trend about hip hop. What would you say is your least favorite about the industry?
Oh, bro. With the industry,
Mm-hmm.
the industry in general, there's a lot of evil. There's so many people who will take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people who will lie to your face and betray you. And just like, there's so many people who basically pillow talk.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll paint you this pretty picture. And then once they get it, they're like, okay, you know, like, you know, like, it's like, I got what I wanted out of you. Hey, you can go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people who are cutthroat.
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't want to be associated with those guys.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it. And it takes me 10 years to do something on my own. I'd rather do it on my own than lay with a bunch of snakes. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's so much deception, and it's just a low vibrational kind of environment. Honestly, I would never get signed to it. Like, never.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's definitely my perspective when I was like, nah, but just set out, bitch. You know, it was like a 360 tops, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And like it gets fucking in every direction.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the game has changed a lot. As an older man who has been sidelined a lot by like my work responsibility stuff, they're like, okay, well, I've seen my friends take record deals, you know. They weren't rappers, but they're like EDM artists and stuff like that. And it's not like I'll give you 20 million to 12 songs.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, I'll give you based off of how many views that you hold. Yeah. It's a very different dynamic now. As long as I had rights to the music, someone wants to like, hey, I'll give you a deal and you can make music for a few years. And like, yeah, I'd probably take it at this point.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing I was going to touch on there too, because I mean, there's you don't get to own it if it's like through a label.
Mm-hmm.
You got to read the contract. You know that. Yeah, if I'm an artist, I want to own 100% royalty. Like I want to own if it came from me completely. Because and that's the other thing too with like these $20 million record deals and stuff. You don't get that $20 million with nothing signed to it.
Yeah,
there's some kind of string attached.
Or with all of it.
Yeah, and it's a loan.
Yeah,
and you see these people, they go out, they buy all these cars, and they don't invest in crap, and that's how they end up broke.
Yeah,
it's like you want to smart with your money.
Yeah,
and I would rather be like, I'll get it on my own. You know what I mean? Like I have the talent, I have the passion, I have the drive. I want that slow burn. I don't want that spark and it's gone. You know what I mean?
You don't be flash paper.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, that's the biggest thing with the industry. I try to stay away from.
I would say that's pretty smart, man, because just in the small bits that I've been in, I've seen some treacherous stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people would like, also what I've seen too is like, I start from nothing. You got so much of a punk, but then like, that now my boy's got power and now he's abusing his power.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets it. I'm like, bro, like we can't keep this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Doing like
what's going on?
Yeah, you know, the spot. Like, and I think of that song Brand Nubian, Don't Let It Go to Your Head all the time. Like the egotistical stuff is not that big of a problem for me, like with my own behavior, but I've seen it with other people where it's just like, oh, I got this power. Fuck you.
Yeah. Kind of like I'm just better than you. Like, I can't do that.
And that's crazy.
It is
because it's like, well, we was in the mud together. What you think is something special now?
Yeah, exactly.
You just took a bath. That's all. Like,
no shit. It's like you don't shake gold now, bro.
Yeah, you still shit. Actually,
yeah. Come on now.
Yeah, I think it's just a good thing to keep yourself humble in that regard.
Absolutely.
You know, because then you show up every day with the right attitude. Because you show up with like, everybody owes me this, me owes me this, and that. So that's a great way to keep better fast. I saw someone do that with a sports team recently. They're doing video for it. They weren't getting paid because it was a fledgling sports team. Like after 3 months, he had like a whole like blood confrontation with like the owners and everything. And now he's like excommunicated.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, dude, you played yourself out. I think everyone got it. Like after the first month, they weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
But you got halfway through and then like now you can't come back. Bro.
Yeah.
It's just a wild thing to see. What I will say is it's a good thing that you're already aware.
Yes, sir.
You know, but they can try to blow the smoke up your ass, but it's like, it's not going to sway you.
No way.
Yeah. That's a good thing. So back to the music, the good aspects of it. What do you hope people feel after listening to you?
Heard.
Yeah.
I want them to feel understood. I want them to feel seen. You hear that song, you hear this piece, whatever it may be, I want it to connect to you. I want you to be able to cherish it because I've heard it and it's made me feel heard. It's made me feel like I'm not alone. And that's the biggest takeaway I want for anyone, is to not feel like they're alone. Like, no matter what pain you're going through, you're not alone. You know? So that's what I would say.
That's beautiful, man. It's kind of like, I want to give the game exactly what.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like with the craft, it's like, I want to give back what it gave. Exactly how you said it. It's just like, I need to give back. It's like this, I have this obligation and responsibility to give back what I was blessed with, you know? So that's definitely how I feel.
That's dope, man. Like a very positive return to sender. Or at least, like, I would say, bringing it forward to the next generation.
Yes, sir. Carry the torch.
Yeah. What's been your proudest moment as an artist so far?
My proudest moment, I couldn't honestly put it down to a moment. I would have to just say the process in general. Like seeing my growth when you stay consistent to something, and then you see like, okay, me constantly doing this, me getting better all the time, to see that progression and see how much you change as an artist and change as a person. It's very rewarding in the long run, you know, because I hear stuff from when I was 14, I came a long way. And then I hear stuff from today and I'm like, wow, this sounds like two completely different people now. And it's like, I got better at articulating. And that in itself is probably something I'm really proud about, because there was a point where I could never speak my mind. There was a point where no matter how I tried to word it, I was misunderstood. So now I can articulate myself in a way where I don't need no one else to understand, but I can understand myself. So the evolution in my craft is probably the best thing I take pride in.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Like, especially being able to see that. Not only see it, but also see like what's working.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. It's an interesting thing when it comes to where you were before, it being a snapshot of your younger mind, where you're at now. One, letting that happen, that being the snapshot, but also like where you can go from there.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of just see the trajectory. You're like, I was here, now I'm here. My potential, you can just continue to grow. I think we put limits on ourselves. Like, I feel like we have infinite potential. So that's something that I always try to keep in my mind. Like, if this is where I'm at right now, this is now the baseline. So I started here, now I'm here. This is now the new standard. This is where I'm at now. I'm going to keep on going, and I'm going to go till I possibly can't go any further. And I don't think I'll ever reach that route.
Yeah, because every time you do, you move.
There's another one. There's another one to fly through, you know?
Yeah, I reached this mountaintop. Oh, there's another mountaintop.
Yeah, there's another one over there. It's just that whole mountain range.
Yeah.
And then with the same thing with the mountain, there's the peak, then there's the valley. And, you know, you're at your top, go back down, and then you got to climb your way back.
I think like there's some smarter positioning that can be done too. Like you said, a lot of people earlier on, or like when they got their 360 contract, they didn't realize they were getting a loan or whatever. They didn't set themselves up for success business wise. But then you see other examples like Chameleonaire, who's not really making a name for himself anymore with rap, but used rap to like, all right, I'm going to make a car rental business to rent out to artists that are doing music videos.
You know someone who is really smart with that? 50 Cent.
Let's hear it.
50 Cent.
Yeah.
He went bankrupt how many times? And he bounced back every time.
How many times did he go bankrupt?
I think more than 5.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It's been a minute since I was like reading about it. But
yeah.
50 Cent is so smart on the business side. And he used rap. He used music. And Ice Cube did the same thing with his stuff. Like he made the music and like that was a part of it, but he did movies too. And he put his music in the movies, you know? 50 Cent, he used the music to supply the rest of his other hustles that he had. You know, all these different grinds, all these different flows of income.
Yeah.
And that's the state I want to be at, because I look at people like 50 Cent. I'm like, you were really smart, bro. So I want to kind of just keep going with that.
I mean, the last time I checked in with his career, he had the whole Power TV show. And then he got all the spinoffs like Raising Cain. And I think there's like 2, 3 other ones.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having that many like TV shows to your name?
Yeah. It's not even just with shows either. He has like, I don't know his businesses and stuff. I can't name them off the top of my head, but it's basically like a portfolio. And you get to diversify.
Yeah. Same with, I would say Ludacris. No, I think that's an important thing. What's the biggest challenge you had to overcome so far while pursuing this?
Just life. I feel like to be able to create is the reward. You know what I mean? But in order to create, I got to go through some so that I have something to talk about.
Exactly.
You know? So it's like the music is finally the debrief of the situation, everything that I went through.
Yeah.
The hardest part is getting through it, enduring, and then finally getting to that point where it's like, okay, the conflict's over, resolution. Now I get to talk about it, you know, and you get all these different life experiences. I pull inspiration from my darkest points because I feel like those are the points people relate to the most. And I also pull inspiration from different people. You know, I'll hear a song and I'm like, I'm gonna write a song just like that. It's like, it just depends, but yeah, just life in general, just getting through life. Because if I had the ability to just write music every day, I would take it. But life doesn't work like that. So yeah.
So you entering the industry at such a young age, what's something you've learned that surprised you?
I don't know. I'm not like too deep into it, you know? I feel like I'm still like surface though, honestly. Like I haven't fully gone into it.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, just like my discernment, being able to see like, okay, I know what kind of people to stay away from. I have a good head on my shoulders, you know, a good like threat perception ability to see. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's plenty of threats.
Definitely. And like that's the thing. It's like I'd rather, I mean, just stay away from it all. Like if I can do it my own way, in my own lane, and achieve my vision the same way, why not?
Yeah, no, that's good. So you were talking about life getting in the way. Like where are you working?
I work with my uncle. Me and him, we do towing and like roadside assistance and all that. And that one had a strange learning curve to it because we did it with the trailer. And you know, I take a lot of pride in being able to maneuver that trailer now. You know.
Yeah.
Me and him, we do we buy junk cars and then we do tows, roadside assistance as well. But it's mainly just buying junk cars and scrapping them and whatnot.
Okay.
And before that, I worked at AutoZone.
Yeah.
That was my like first job.
Yeah.
But you even seen, I was like 13, 14, moving houses and stuff. So
yeah,
I always had some kind of hustle.
That's dope, man. You want to give your business a shout out right now?
G-Loads. Oh, how does it go? Never call Rattle 303. You don't need a Tyler or a key. You just need a G. That's how it goes. So yeah, G-Loads. Roadside assistance, towing, hit us up.
Right. You got a phone number?
720-416-0426. That's my uncle's business number.
Right on, man.
Cool. I appreciate that. Right
yeah,
on.
For sure. Music-wise, what are you working on now?
Working on getting this album released. I got a bunch of singles that I have set up for the rest of the year. I just dropped one called Nights.
Being fighting demons, now I'm trying to find my angels. Been through hell and back, now I got horns and halos. All I care about is bringing money to the table. And they steady hating on me cause I'm blowing up like NATO. I'm like Kane on a track cause I treat these beats like Abel. Killing every beat, turn my pen into a Draco. Shoot my bars like bullets now, every line is fatal. I've been the best alive since my days in the cradle. Never fear death and I put that on my soul. I ain't never gonna stop even when I reach my goal. I'ma stay right until my heads will turn.
That one talks about like going through hardship, facing adversity, and still being able to shine. Because I say at the end, I wrap it up. I knew I was a star when I shine on dark nights. So it's like, you know, you can't shine without the dark. You know, you look at the sky. If it's just all light, you're not a superstar.
Right.
But when it's nighttime, you can actually see the stars shine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what inspired that. So I have Nights coming out. I got another song following up from Nights. And that one just kind of talks about, I open it, looking at my life, thinking about how far I came. It's called Hope, but it's an acronym, and it's hustle overpowers pain every time.
Nice.
So we got Nights, we got Hope. After that, I got a song called Memento Mori, and that's something I wrote this year. And that one is a pride and joy for me as a single. I wanted it on the album or like the EP, but I was like, no, this is a standalone track.
Yeah.
This is something that I should have out. So yeah, I got a couple singles. I got one after that called Harmony. So far there's another one. It's kind of derivative of Hood Poet, and that's the album, but it's called Still Riding. It's called, and it's Through the Streets. It's still in the works right now, but I want to get that one done. Have like that West Coast sound tied to it and whatnot. That'll be the intro layout to my next piece called Street Preacher. So there's a progression, you know. I told you I'm already on my fourth album.
Right.
So I got Hood Poet, which hopefully it comes out either by the end of this year or sometime mid 2027.
Okay.
That's Hood Poet. After that, we got following up with Street Preacher. after Street Preacher. The third one, which is in the works now, which I'm working on, is God's Scribe. So you kind of see that whole progression.
Yeah, there's the evolution that
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So just trying to capture that best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And with Hood Poet, you know, I don't know. I want to go into the depth, like if you got any other questions with
yeah, where can people find it?
Anywhere, any platform, you know, Spotify, YouTube, you know, just all your regular streaming platforms. TIPCI 5150, TIPCI 5150, brother.
Right on, man.
Yes, sir.
So I'm curious. So you talked about these first three. What's the fourth step here?
The fourth step. It's still like it's not even named.
In the making.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's like it's still cooking. Like I know what's gonna be on it after that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like that trilogy right there.
Okay. Do you have TIPCI 5150 song which you would recommend that everyone gets started?
Diggies and Lugs too.
All right.
Diggies and Lugs too, most definitely.
Cruising down the calle in a low. Rolling so smooth, it looks slow-mo. Keep a Ruka on standby, I'm never solo. Little Chata was the name, they say I'm loco. Coming out the cut, and I'm always looking feed me. Standing out from the crowd, I know you see me. Where the S is at, cause I'm trying to get freaky. Just unlike me, cause they all wanna be me. Have to kick back, and the homies play my tunes. Getting tuned in, but I gotta get in the mood here with all the
Why that one?
It's a tribute to my grandfather.
Okay.
And it's a very catchy West Coast kind of anthem. It has like good sound to it.
Yeah.
You know, you throw it on and you feel free to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's what I put on Grand 89.5.
Hell yeah. And I appreciate that so much, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
that was tight.
That's definitely one of my favorite ones.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
It's my favorite too, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a good start. So, do you have any like collabs or music videos coming out that you want to put people on to as well?
So even last night, I started in the process of creating a music video for Nights.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some collaboration projects going on, like with my brother Easy. He's another artist out here in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Easy 303. Me and him got a track called Bright My Wrongs, and that's going to be on the album. I have another track with my homeboy J-So. He's out, I think, in Cali somewhere. I think. I feel bad if I got it wrong.
The wrong place.
Damn it.
He's in Alaska.
I know. He's not even on this planet, bro.
On Saturday, like, what's he talking about? I'm not even on Earth.
Seriously, bro. Yeah, I got another one called Overtime. That one's going to be dope.
Okay.
Overtime's going to be sick. As far as collaborations go, I think that's about it for now.
Okay.
I would love to collaborate more.
Yeah, on that note, if you could collaborate with any artist, what would it be?
Scrim, yeah.
Okay. He's good. He's still alive.
Yeah, right? Dude, that's like a dream of mine.
Yeah.
Collaborate with Scrim, bro.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, for real. What's your favorite thing about Scrim?
His production. Like he's been in the game for a very long time, 10 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just like even his Runaway project that he just put out, it's like I'm trying to get to that point where I'm basically just getting the journal and like stuff of mine. And like he's like, fucking his song, I'm reading on my diary. And it's like, I want to get to that point where I have a studio and I'm in there and I'm just letting whatever needs to come out, you know? I relate to Scrim too, like a lot. It's almost uncanny, bro. Like how much I relate to these artists that I find myself relating to or looking up because like their stories and stuff, like there's a reason they are, you know?
Right. There's a connection there.
Definitely. And the avenue he's in right now, just trying to preach hope. And he's taking people like he was at the bottom, way doing damn near everything. And he transformed his life better.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could still be at the lowest point in your life. And with help, you can get back, you know? So I think that's a very beautiful message for him. And yeah. That's like one of the most admirable, I'd say. But he's like my number one artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been there for a minute. Like ever since Sing Me a Lullaby My Sweet Station, ever since that album dropped. Because I heard 1,000 Blunt and that was the song that it felt like a hug, bro.
Yeah.
In a way, I was going through so much and I still sleep to that song. Like I have it on loop all the time.
It's a good one.
Because that's how I feel on the day, you know? So it's just like I want to create songs like that and just have the ability to create at the capacity he's.
Yeah. I would say with the Suicide Boys, one that's the most to me would be Matt Black's song.
Matt Black is tough too.
Yeah.
That's what Matt Black.
Like smoking packs,
Takes back to back. I'm on the left, the bait. Shit out and left. Yeah.
Holy shit, I realized that.
Yeah.
Especially when I was in the Navy. I always smoked pack. I definitely did. Like I went from a pack a day to like 3 cigarettes a day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But I remember being in that state, like
Just
yeah,
yeah, you have needed a vice. You know,
Yeah.
like it's a lot of stress.
yeah. Well, it was the stress that led me to the vice. You know?
And that's the thing, man.
Yeah. I would say 5 years from now, what do you hope people are saying about TIPCI 51?
That I'm up there, like with the legends, like people who I was inspired by, you know.
Yeah.
And that might not happen in 5 years, it might not happen in 20.
Mhm.
But I eventually want to be to that status where it's like he's up there with Pac.
Yeah.
He's up there with, you know, whoever the Mount Rushmore of hip hop is.
Yeah.
He's up there
That's
with him.
exactly what I was thinking.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I want to get to that.
Yeah.
And I say that, you know, the songs in the cell block. It's like, or no, not that one. What song is it? Oh no, that's another feature that I have on my homeboy, Easy.
Mhm.
But it's I'm gonna be setting up where the legends be.
Mhm.
So it's like that's what I want to be said about me.
It's dope, man.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. Beyond music, what kind of legacy you want to build?
One that isn't tied to generational curses. My entire family, it's just been suffering the entire time. And I want to transform that legacy and build something because no one in my family has done it yet.
Mhm.
So there's like this pressure on me. I'm the chain breaker.
Yeah.
That's why I have this tatted. It's a daily reminder, bro. It's on.
Will I
life.
be the first one to break free?
Yeah. And it's like, I already graduated. I'm the first generation of my family to graduate.
And
Yeah. And to build a legacy that my family can be proud of
mhm.
and that isn't tied to addiction. It's not tied to being incarcerated, spending your entire life behind a cell, like not being just shackled and stuck in a place. I want to transform.
Yeah.
I want to get my family out the hood. You know what I mean? Like I want to bring everybody
Mhm.
and I want to build that legacy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what it is. And I'm already building that legacy with Dickies and Lokes too. That's one of the biggest things. It's like my grandfather, he's immortal now
Mhm.
because he's in a song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can do this. I see the vision. I'm gonna go get it.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
More power to you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. What's one thing you wish more people understood about you?
I don't bite. I'm not as serious as I look. I guess like a lot of people, everyone I've ever met, they've always told me like, I was scared to talk to you about it. I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah. I'm like, bro, if you got to know me, you know my
Yeah.
character, you would understand. I'm not a very aggressive person.
Mhm.
I'm a chill person unless you give me reason or not. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
you're disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want people to know, like, yeah, I'm not like I have this image. I got a resting bitch face, like, you know, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm a very approachable person
Mhm.
and I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, if I feel something, I'm gonna say it.
Mhm.
But I love everyone.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would say I wasn't.
that's good,
Because
brother.
I had the endorsement from my own brother.
Hell yeah.
And it was like, you know, he reminds me a lot like you. So I was like, oh, really? So
That's
I was
what's
like, I want to see.
He was telling me the same thing, bro. And
Yeah.
I can relate to you a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what's up.
Yeah, I think we share a lot of similar forces that shaped us, I'd say.
Most definitely.
Just to wrap it up here, where can people find your music, follow your journey, and support what you're doing?
You can find me on social media under TIPCI 5150, TIPCI 5150. You can find me on Instagram under Insane Clinically, NZANE, and then Clinically. You can find me on YouTube, same outlet, Tipsy. Yeah, those are mainly the socials that I'm mostly on. TikTok, Instagram. Find my music on all streaming platforms. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's about it.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to say to everybody?
Love y'all. God bless. Stay along for the journey, and it's gonna be good. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. But this is honestly the best interview I've had.
Oh, hell yeah.
And yeah, you have very unique questions,
Mhm.
and it makes me see that like you're not very surface level.
Mhm.
You want to get to the depth,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And just thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I wanted to, like, when I do my process, I just want people to be able to see every angle of you
Yeah.
and I'm willing to show.
Right on.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, man.
For sure, man.
Yeah.